She rejected him, and now he's doing everything he can to make sure she loses her high-paying job. Let's find out what happened next. Kindly subscribe to this channel for more of our latest stories. One afternoon, Esther was chatting with a friend. When she mentioned she was looking for a job, the friend offered to help her find one. Esther immediately appreciated the gesture. However, Romanis, a man who had been crushing on her, witnessed the conversation. Feeling insecure, he confronted the friend and hurled insults at him. The young man, displeased, walked away. Esther, upset with Romanis for insulting someone trying to help her, expressed her displeasure. But Romanis remained unreasonable and annoying, continuing to follow her. Meanwhile, Chief Johnson was at home, feeling frustrated and worried. At that same moment, Esther's father was outside cleaning his gun. Romanis kept disturbing Esther, and when she complained, her father came to the scene. Romanis was shocked to see him holding a gun. Esther's father warned Romanis to stop following his daughter. Romanis tried to explain that he was genuinely interested in her, but her father made it clear that he wouldn't tolerate anyone taking advantage of his daughter. Romanis eventually left, teasing Esther as he walked away. Later, Esther and her father enjoyed some quiet time together. That same day, Chief Johnson grew increasingly concerned about Romanis's whereabouts and called him. Romanis made up a story about where he had been. They chatted for a bit, and Chief Johnson, noticing how overwhelming his work had become, suggested hiring someone else to assist him. Romanis exaggerated his capabilities and insisted he could handle it all alone. Chief Johnson dropped the matter and left. The following day, at Chief Johnson's house, Romanis tried to call Esther, but she didn't answer. He began feeling insecure and restless. Later, he approached Chief Johnson and lied that his sister had collapsed at her workplace. Chief Johnson insisted that Romanis go attend to her, so Romanis left. Meanwhile, at her workplace, Esther was chatting with a friend when Romanis showed up. Feeling insecure, he created a scene and harassed her friend with insulting words. Esther was displeased, and her friend warned Romanis before leaving. Esther then confronted him, and they argued. Frustrated, Esther walked away. That same day, at Chief Lawson's house, Romanis vented his frustrations about his relationship to the gatekeeper. They argued, and Romanis left, still feeling displeased. The following morning, Romanis was in his room thinking about Esther when he suddenly got an idea. He immediately approached Chief Lawson and suggested that he needed an extra hand to help with work around the house. Romanis then recommended a responsible lady for the job, speaking very highly of her. Chief Lawson agreed to the suggestion. Meanwhile, Esther's father was in the living room when Esther entered, looking downcast. She handed him his medication. Concerned, her father asked what was wrong. Esther explained that she had lost her job and was currently unemployed. Her father comforted her and prayed for her. Later that same day, Romanis called Esther to share the good news about a job opportunity at his boss's house. He insisted she come immediately. Romanis ended the call feeling excited. The next morning, Esther got ready to check out the job opportunity, only to discover that her father had fallen seriously ill. He was speaking negatively and appeared very weak. Esther quickly got help and rushed him to the hospital. On her way, she ran into Romanis and told him what had happened and how much money she needed for her father's hospital bills. Romanis promised to help and insisted she could pay him back once she got the job. The following day, her father was discharged from the hospital, looking much stronger and healthier. He appreciated Romanis's support. Esther promised to repay him, and the family shared a warm moment together. Esther later went to meet Romanis, who continued to act overly protective. Together, they went to see Chief Johnson, who gave Esther the job immediately after hearing good things about her. Romanis then left them alone. Romanis showed Esther to her room, and she was filled with joy. She kissed him, and they both shared a moment of excitement. Esther insisted on going back home to share the good news with her father. Meanwhile, Romanis and the gatekeeper were hanging out and joking around. However, their conversation turned vulgar and eventually escalated into an abusive exchange. The next day at work, Romanis began hovering around Esther, despite her efforts to stop him. Because he had helped her get the job, he tried to use the opportunity to gain access to her body, which she firmly refused. saying she wouldn't give herself to anyone until she was fully married. Still, Romanus persisted as time went on. Later that day, Esther went to clean her boss's room. She gathered all the empty alcohol bottles and gently gave him a piece of advice, encouraging him to reduce his drinking due to his age. Chief Johnson appreciated her concern. When she came back downstairs, Romanus became upset that she had spent so much time in her boss's room. He confronted her and warned her sternly to stay away from the boss, then stormed off. The next day, Esther prepared a meal for her boss. It was so delicious that he personally requested she be the one to prepare his meals from then on. Chief Johnson later called Romanus and expressed concern about Romanus's lack of responsibility around the house. Romanus found it hard to accept, but had no choice. A few hours later, while Esther was resting, Romanus came to her and warned her to be careful with her actions. Guys, what do you think about men like Romanus? Do you believe Esther would want to marry such a man? What happens next will surprise you. Romanus confided in the gatekeeper about what was going on. He admitted he feared that his boss might be having an affair with his girlfriend, but the gatekeeper laughed at him. Offended, Romanus stormed off in anger. The next day, Chief Johnson was having a pleasant moment with Esther, sharing jokes and old stories that made her laugh heartily. Romanus, seeing this, became jealous and interrupted them. He asked for Esther to assist him in the kitchen. Chief Johnson allowed it, but told Esther to come back as soon as she was done. In the kitchen, Romanus started another episode of jealousy. Esther, fed up, told him clearly that she disliked his jokes, especially since they often turned vulgar. Romanus then confessed that he wanted an intimate relationship with her, claiming it was because she was his future wife. Another day, Chief Johnson brought chocolates for Esther in his room. She happily expressed how sweet and good they were. Meanwhile, Romanus overheard some sounds and, jumping to conclusions, believed his boss was having an affair with Esther. Furious, Romanus told the gatekeeper about it. But during the conversation, Romanus admitted he had no real intention of marrying Esther and only wanted to take advantage of her. He also confessed his new plan, to get her out of the house at all costs. The gatekeeper strongly disapproved, and the two ended up exchanging heated words. However, Romanus began to avoid Esther, and she didn't understand why. He later went to his boss and lied, claiming that Esther suffered from bedwetting. To his surprise, his boss wasn't angry, only concerned about her condition. The next day, Esther greeted Romanus, but he responded by warning her to stay away from him. He pointed his finger at her and sarcastically wished her good luck. One morning, Romanus snuck into Esther's room and poured a foul-smelling substance on her bed. When his boss found out, he told Romanus to clean it up, then walked away. Esther returned from the market to find the house smelling terrible. Her boss simply told her to go inside and get changed. Romanus followed her inside, packed her belongings, and insisted that she leave the house. Esther pleaded with him to let her speak to their boss, but he refused. When Chief Johnson noticed that Esther had been sent out, he questioned Romanus. Romanus explained that he couldn't handle her condition. Chief Johnson made it clear that his intention was to take her to the hospital to see a doctor, not to send her away. He gave Esther 150,000 naira for her medication and instructed Romanus to take her back inside and clean up her room. This only made Romanus more furious. Wow, some people will try everything to bring you down, but no matter how hard they try, you still rise. But the question is, will Romanus's plot against Esther succeed? Romanus later confronted Esther and accused her of having an affair with their boss. He told her she would be leaving the house soon. Esther didn't defend herself. Instead, she calmly continued eating her fried chicken and drinking her fruit juice. Romanus left frustrated. Esther later told her father what had happened. He consoled her and advised her to act with wisdom, explaining that Romanus's words might carry weight because of how long he had been working there. Esther felt deeply hurt, unsure of what she had done wrong. She quietly went to serve her father his meal. One night, Esther approached Chief Johnson, who was sitting alone with a photo of his late wife. Esther shared how she and her father had been comforting each other through hard times. Chief Johnson, in return, opened up about his wife and children, who had died in a car accident. They shared a quiet, emotional moment together. As Chief Johnson moved closer to comfort Esther, Romanus secretly took a photo of them. The next morning, Chief Johnson was looking for a bundle of cash he had left on his cupboard. He held a meeting with both Esther and Romanus regarding the missing money, but they both denied taking it. He then asked them to leave. Moments later, Romanus returned with Esther and claimed he had found the missing money in her bag. He insisted that she be sent away. After asking Romanus to leave, Chief Johnson had a private conversation with Esther. He told her he didn't believe she was the one who stole the money and asked what had been going on between her and Romanus. Esther explained how Romanus had been hovering around her ever since she agreed to be his girlfriend, constantly pressuring her to sleep with him, which she refused. Chief Johnson was stunned by all the lies Romanus had told him. He then reassured Esther and asked her to continue with her duties. As usual, Romanus went to the gatekeeper to talk about what had happened and how his plan had failed. But this time, the gatekeeper was clearly on Esther's side. Their conversation ended in a heated argument. One day, Romanus secretly added extra salt to the food Esther had cooked. When Chief Johnson complained about the taste, Esther was confused and surprised. Romanus exaggerated the situation and offered to cook another meal himself for the boss. Another time, Romanus deliberately burned Chief Johnson's clothes when no one was watching. When the damage was discovered, the boss said nothing. Esther tried to defend herself, but there was no response from him. Romanus then insisted that Esther should be sent away, and when their boss left the room, she became so hurt that she decided to pack her things and leave the house for Romanus. Just minutes before leaving, Chief Johnson called Esther and showed her footage that proved she was innocent. Unknown to them, he had recently installed CCTV cameras in the house, and they had caught Romanus red-handed. Esther rejoiced. Romanus tried to plead with his boss, but it was too late. He was fired, while Esther was retained. As Romanus walked out in shame, the gatekeeper made jokes and laughed at him. Guys, Chief Johnson is truly a gentleman and a man of wisdom. But do you think Romanus will give up on the woman he claims to love? Well, let's find out. The next day, Romanus went to Esther's father and told him that his daughter was having an affair with her boss, the same boss who had just fired him. Esther's father became furious and went to grab his gun. Together, they went straight to Chief Johnson's house. The gatekeeper let them in. As Chief Johnson and Esther stepped outside to meet them, Romanus was shocked to discover that Chief Johnson already knew Esther's father. He was so overwhelmed by the surprise, he fainted on the spot. Later that day, Chief Johnson was wondering why Esther's father had told her to quit her job since he had recovered from the hospital. Esther didn't understand why either. They were both outside together, and Chief Johnson insisted on knowing what really happened. Esther's dad told him what Romanus had said, but Chief Johnson was innocent of those accusations. He explained to his friend how his daughter had changed his life since she arrived. Chief Johnson insisted on furthering Esther's education and also offered to sponsor her medical bills for a thorough checkup. Chief Johnson also shared the story of the woman he and Esther's father had been in love with, who happened to be her mother. But Esther's father then revealed that Esther was the product of a pregnancy that Chief Johnson had abandoned. Esther was shocked. No wonder her father had insisted that they leave. It all made sense now. Later, the gatekeeper, who had met with Romanus, told him the news. Esther was the daughter of Chief Johnson. Romanus was shocked because he had just used his own hands to ruin the very chance that could have lifted him up. On this particular day, Chief Johnson, an old soldier, and Esther were in the living room of Chief Johnson's house. They had a small conversation about how, when he was younger, Chief Johnson had pressured the woman he loved to abort their child. He was then sent abroad to further his education, and the girl he loved was taken away from him. Although Esther's mother had been heartbroken by the entire situation, life had worked out in their favor, and everything eventually fell into place. Chief Johnson then welcomed Esther to her new home and birthright because she now owned everything that Chief Johnson had. They enjoyed the moment together. One day, while Romanus was selling water at a construction site, he was surprised to see Esther in an expensive car. She greeted him and drove off. This movie teaches us to be at peace with all people. No matter how others treat you, just do your part, and in time, you will reap the rewards of what you sow. What you sow is what you reap. Be jealous, but don't use it to harm others. Be happy for people's progress, even if you're not being appreciated. And never bite the hand that feeds or helps you. So guys, if you enjoyed this story, kindly subscribe to this channel to get more of our latest stories.